good, my tribe? Welcome back. Thank you for joining me. This is day 9 of the 90-day YouTube challenge. And yesterday I left off talking about getting really serious about becoming a breathwork instructor, as well as getting more into Taoist alchemy and Qigong. And around this time I was also getting into other forms of alchemy as well, mainly Hermetic alchemy, and getting into the path of Magick, which this is Magick with a K. This is sort of the Western esoteric mystery tradition. And a lot of magic and the occult in general has this sort of stigma around it. A lot of people think it's just worshiping Satan and summoning demons, and this is not the case at all. I mean, I'm sure there certainly is that in some of these occult worlds and communities, but most of it is actually studying the Kabbalah, which is the sort of Jewish esoteric mystery tradition. I guess magic really comes from the Hermetic Kabbalah, so it's the Hermetic version, or Hermetic symbolism kind of applied to the Kabbalah. And so it also draws from some like ancient Egyptian sources, and works with some Greek gods and deities and stuff like that. And so up until this point I was mainly kind of just studying yoga and a lot of the Eastern esoteric and spiritual traditions, but I never really got into a lot of the Western. And I figured, living here in the West, I should broaden my horizons and explore these other paths as well. And one of the first things that you come across if you do some research into magic in general is this idea of a sigil. And a sigil is essentially a sort of cryptic sign or symbol that you create out of a sentence. And so, the easiest way to create a sigil is to basically write down a sentence, some sort of affirmation that states your will of what it is that you desire, what it is that you want to bring about in your life. And what you do is then you remove all of the vowels and you remove the repeating letters, and you use those remaining letters to formulate some sort of symbol. And then what you do is you can meditate on this symbol. You can use breath work or tantric practices to kind of charge this symbol. And in most cases what you do then is destroy the symbol afterwards. You can set it on fire or whatever. And then what this does is it essentially, whenever you destroy it, it sends it out into the universe. And the idea is that this will then manifest in your life. And so I was a little skeptical of it at first. This is magic, right? And I used to think magic is just something that's made up. But yeah, I mean, I was also really open-minded and willing to just give it a try and see what it was all about. And so yeah, the thing in my life that I was really focused on is becoming a breathwork instructor. And I was just upset and annoyed that I couldn't really find the right training, and I couldn't really afford any of the trainings that were available that seemed legit. So I decided to use a sigil to kind of help me in this process. And I think it was like, I will become a breathwork instructor within a certain amount of time or whatever. I forget what exactly my affirmation was. But I created the sigil. I charged it up using some tantric practices, meditation. I burned the sigil, and a few months later I came across SOMA. I was taking a course on shamanism. I think it was a shamanism summit, I believe, through Lorna Leona's Entheo Nation. She has a podcast and a pretty large community centered around entheogens, psychedelics, and shamanism. And one of the speakers in this summit was Niraj. and he was bringing, talking about SOMA Breath, as he had just kind of came out with this new modality, this course, and he was basically just plugging his course, SOMA, during the summit. And I instantly connected with what he had to say, instantly knew like this was exactly what I've been calling in, this is exactly what I've been waiting for. And I immediately signed up for the instructor training because it was affordable, it was within my price range, and it seemed to kind of check all the boxes. And what I really loved about it was this whole emphasis on music and how it seemed to kind of combine a lot of these holistic health practices that I had already been studying separately on my own. And I immediately fell in love with SOMA. Being a music producer myself, I had already, kind of been working on kind of producing some music for breath work. This was something that I came across with Alchemy of Breath. A lot of their breath work is done to specific or rhythmic music. So I was already kind of playing around with trying to create some breathwork tracks in the background. But SOMA, and Niraj was the first time that I saw or, heard that we can have these breath sounds and the counting as well in the track itself. And I loved that. I immediately wanted to start doing that myself. So yeah, I immediately signed up for the instructor training, in which the 21-day protocol was sort of the first part of that. And it just completely blew me away. I, had many different, experiences and healing within my own self. A lot of the old traumas that I had developed really got me clear on what it is I wanted to do with all of this, gave me a clear path. And I, went full force into it. I knew this was what it seemed like my entire life was building me up to this moment and this path. The music, the breath work, my psychedelic experiences, it all culminated when I found SOMA. And yeah, from there it just took my entire life and my practice to the next level. Synchronicities started occurring on a much higher rate. Things just started flowing effortlessly in my life. It hasn't been all easy. There's certainly been some challenges and hiccups along the way, but for the most part, this, it's really brought me to this state of peace and flow that I've never experienced before. So I'm super grateful for Niraj and for SOMA and for, them showing me what is possible. So yeah, again, I just wanted to thank you all for listening, for joining me on this journey as I recapitulate my spiritual journey, my path up until this point, how I became a SOMA Breath instructor. So I wish you all the best. I hope you're all well, love and light. May peace be with you.